So the sound here is kind of weird, but it's good. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. My name is Krisell Valenzuela, and I am here to hang out with y'all. Let's see who's here. Hey Brandy, hey Janice, thank you so much for joining. So if you guys are new, if you haven't watched one of my live streams before, you're in for a treat because it's been a while since I've done these. I've been taking some time to recharge and detox. And so I'm coming back with new energy and new intentions, and I'm so excited to share this with all of you guys. So I'm going to give it a few minutes, excuse me, and then we'll get started. For anyone that's new, I am a multi-dimensional medium. And I'm really shifting that identity to not being the faculty or the mechanic behind what I do, but really shifting to identifying in how I help people. And that is in empowerment and helping people become conscious leaders. So I identify as a guide. I am the earth guide that helps women of color and their allies to be empowered and conscious leaders. Thank you so much. I'll tell you a little bit about my necklace too. So, if you're interested in learning more about me or working with me one on one, you can check out my website. It's right here at the bottom. Right here. Wait, this is something I haven't done before. There we go. It's krisellcan.com. And I do offer group settings and private settings, one-on-one work, and yeah, I have 2 monthly drop-ins. Come check it out. But today, I'm going to be sharing some readings and some reflections that I've been having that I think a lot of people experience, but maybe don't give the time or space for the full bloom of the awareness. Let me just breathe that in. So to tell you a little bit more about me, so I mentioned I am an empowerment and conscious leadership guide. And what I teach and how I work in these faculties is I use hypnosis, I am a medium, I work with energy, I use energy healing, and I'm very much an intuitive, I work intuitively. So I don't use some structured plan that doesn't honor your individual energy and your unique purpose and your unique blueprint. I'm very intuitive in the way that I treat each person as the individual that they are. So if you're just joining me, please drop me a comment. Let me know where you're joining from. Say hi so that I can welcome you. And thank you so much for being here. I do these virtual demonstrations because prior to developing my psychic abilities, I was just a very scared, very rational, very analytical, logical mind human being that wasn't sure that any of this was real. And I would often, um, if I watched a psychic or a medium and intuitive work, in my head, I was trying to rationalize everything that they were doing. Um, and so that's where I was coming from. So after experiencing depression and anxiety and slowly coming back to myself, I took my first psychic development workshop with the intention of learning self-care tools, which were meditation, learning what grounding was, and raising vibration. So, hey Juna, hey Rachel, thank you so much for joining. And Janice joining from Florida. I was just on the East Coast last week, so you are the real MVP. I think we're dying here in California with this heat wave, but you win with the humidity and that Hurricane Elsa. So I took my first workshop because I wanted to learn through psychic development self-care rituals. And so I remember sitting in that first workshop. There were 12 people, and I was the very last person to introduce myself. And everyone had some sort of paranormal or supernatural experience, and they were looking to validate or learn more about that experience, and that's why they were there. So as everyone was going through the group and introducing themselves, I thought to myself, I don't belong here. I've never had supernatural experiences. I've never had paranormal experiences. I should go. This was a mistake. And rather than get up and go, I stayed there and I shared the truth that I was there for self care. And nothing happened. The world didn't end. No one said anything to me. Someone might have breathed or chuckled, but I survived and I'm here to tell the story. So I am partly here to share that anyone can do this, even if it's not your intention, even if you don't necessarily believe at first. If you are interested, curious, and you come with an open mind, you can do this too. Um, and so that was just in 2019. Hey, Claire, thanks so much for joining. Miss you, love. Let's see here. Oh, shoot, Brandy, you guys have 100-degree weather. Weeks of 100-degree weather. Okay, you win because we're only in the 90s. I don't know how you do it. This heat is crazy. Um, so, yeah, I do these readings because I want to help. This is my service. This is my service for the people to share my abilities, to demonstrate for them what is also possible for them. Because if I can go on camera here and give these readings and get intimate and open and vulnerable with you guys can do it too. This right here, me being here and doing this for people, is a direct reflection of you, because I can only go as deep as and share the vulnerable information and share what's available to you if you are open to it, if you allow it, if you are willing to be that vulnerable too. So that's why I do this. If you guys are interested in going down that same path of spiritual development, some of you guys I know from taking classes with, but if you are interested in connecting with your own intuition and going from okay, I'm gonna get real with you guys. I've realized that the reason why spiritual development or psychic development is so important to me is because my pre-spiritual awakening life, I was a people pleaser to the max. I was so fantastic at everything that I did because I did everything that I was told, because I only wanted to make my manager, my parents, my teachers, the elders in the community, I only wanted to make people proud of me. And so it came from this place of pleasing everyone around me, that I always sought validation outside of myself, that I was always looking for direction outside of myself. And when I started my spiritual awakening, when I consciously went into my spiritual awakening, I realized that I struggled with creative expression and original thought and being and feeling inspired. Um, I struggled with it. And it was because I had allowed myself to go so far away from myself and attach to whatever authority, whether it be a new teacher, a new influencer, um, a new authority figure, that I allowed myself to become so attached to these people that everything revolved around them, that they became the center of my universe and thus influenced my decisions and everything that came after that. And so the reason why this is so important to me is because your spiritual awakening is about awakening to your personal discovery journey. And that and the realization that this human existence is about you, and learning all things from the perspective of you and the relationship to you, because you are the center of your universe, just like I am the center of my universe. And it was when I learned self care that I realized that being the center of your own universe is nothing to be ashamed of, and it's nothing bad, because it comes with so much love, reverence, and gratitude for yourself, that when you fill your own cup with that, that's when abundance happens, and that's when the overflow happens, and that's when we learn to love others and bring them into our energy without the people pleaser. It's then that we become the conscious leader, and that's what's so important to me about sharing this work. And so I share that because I have two offerings that are coming up. One is my Connect and Work with Your Spirit Guides offering, which is over 3 weeks on Thursdays, about this time, I believe. It starts at 6 o'clock. That's when it starts. 6 p.m. Pacific time. It starts next Thursday. And each session over 3 weeks is 2 hours. And I share during the first week psychic fundamentals. The second week, we work on how to connect and communicate with your guides through meditation, through pendulum work, through cards, through um, looking at anything, just like observing the world as your divination tool and feeling it in your body. And then the last week, we work on integration and practice and how you can use this amazing tool, your intuition and your guides, to live your most authentic life. And so I want to share this with you guys because registration ends when the class starts on Thursday. And so I invite you. And then the second offering that I have coming up is on that Saturday, and it's a monthly drop in. And a monthly drop in where I call it my psychic play circle. And I teach the very basic fundamentals, and then we just practice and I coach. So I give one on one coaching. Everyone gets coaching. And for me, I love intimacy and connecting and personal connection. So when you come into a space with me, it's going to be a small group so that I can give you that one on one attention. And that's just how I am in person too. I love connecting with people one on one. I love to talk. I'm a talker. I'm chatty. And if you ever book a session with me, just know that sometimes we go over because I can get chatty. So I just wanted to share those with you. Um, Janice is also a recovering people pleaser. Brandy says, "You're speaking to me, the loyal giver with no boundaries. This has changed my life." Hey, Lisa, thanks so much for joining. That was totally me. And I was sharing my story with a friend that when I got married, I went from living by myself to moving in with my partner, getting married, and having a kid all within a period of like 5 months or 6 months. And going from being very independent into all these three new identities was like an energetic overload. And so I had to do a lot of soul searching, and I needed a lot of time to integrate all these new identities, these new roles, in order for me to understand like who I am as a mother, as a partner, and as a roommate, as someone that's sharing a home with other people. And I struggled with what is the right balance of boundaries, because I was around women who were stay-at-home moms that did everything for their family, and I never wanted to be that person. Um, I've always been I've always been the archetype of someone that empowers others. And so even when I was working in corporate America, I often trained new people, and I was never the kind of person to give you answers, especially in the spaces that I worked. That just would never work. It was never efficient. You would never be able to accomplish anything if you just waited around for someone to give you answers. So I was always looking for systems to set people up so that they could be empowered and continue the work on their own, so that they would be set up for success. And so I take that into my business and how I hold space for other people and how I work one on one. I'm always sharing practices with you that you can use that can become consistent, sustainable rituals. That's me. So I'm going to start off by just sharing something because I am starting to do these virtual demonstrations here on these platforms, which are Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And I'm doing these every third Thursday. Is today the third Thursday? Yes, every third Thursday of the month. And then every first Thursday of the month, I'm doing Instagram Live. And on my Instagram Live, I talked about abundance. And if you guys are not on Instagram, you can head over to my YouTube, and I actually uploaded the video there because I thought it was just a really great message. And so I want to talk a little bit more about how I'm integrating this new way of being that creates wealth. Because for centuries, we've been in eons, for who knows, since the dawn of man. And maybe that's part of it. um, we've been in a cycle of creating wealth from toxic productivity, of thinking that we have to constantly be doing in order to receive. And for those of you that knew about my energetics of wealth or relationship, healing your relationship with wealth program from last year, it doesn't work that way. Abundance is your birthright, and abundance and wealth and prosperity are always finding its way to you. And it actually is coming from from living your life, from being in a soul aligned expression. So doing what you love, no matter what that is all that you need to do to create wealth. Yes, I'm oversimplifying it, but that's also because I only have 45 minutes left. So please watch that video, and I will link it in the video description for anyone that wants to watch it. But I'm detoxing from this, and I realize this because I worked for a Fortune 100 company for the last 15 years. And in March, I released that relationship, sent it away, said goodbye with so much gratitude. But I told myself I was going to give myself a week before jumping into my full-time commitment to my business. And so I took that week, and then I jumped right in. And so that's March, April, May, June, July. It's been 4 months. And in that 4-month period, not only have I seen clients, but I also signed up for 5 different programs, a combination of personal development and business development, from business coaching to copywriting to leadership coaching. And so I was participating in 5 different programs simultaneously while seeing clients and having my personal life. And all of these programs but one have now ended. And as soon as they all ended, I felt my energy come back to me. And during that time that I was taking all 5 of these programs, my business did actually slow down. There's a whole lot more going on in my life, and I'll share that in a bit. But my business slowed down. And my reflection is that I kept myself so busy, and it was my reaction to the business slowing down. I told myself, my business is slowing down. I need to do something to help pick up the volume. Rather than sit with the energy and really feel into it and understand why it was slowing down, I just kept myself busier. So I distracted myself from the wisdom of the energy and understanding what was really happening instead of, I distracted myself from that and basically left less energy to dedicate myself to my business. And so my reflection now is that I went through so much in 15 years that I wasn't supposed to do any programs in this 4 month period because I'm supposed to be detoxing. And this stack of 5 programs over the last 4 months, and some of them were really intense, not just one, but like a few of them were really intense, was part of the detox. Because once I had the realization that, oh, these programs were just me continuing the behavior of that toxic productivity, I realized I'm just here to rest right now. I'm just here to rest, relax, um, because I do feel the energy, and I know that September is going to be a really full, abundant month. And so, in order for me to be there, I need to allow myself to rest and prepare. Another realization that I had from this toxic productivity detox, I kept telling myself that I need to have a large cohort in my offerings. But that's part of the reason why I just shared that I love intimate groups and that I love personal connection, that I want to address you, that I want to give you I want to answer your questions when we're in space together, that I want to give you my attention when you are in working relationship with me. And I realize I don't want to hold space for 20 people, because if I had a group of 20 people in one of my group containers, I wouldn't have the energy or the capacity to work personally with each person. And so I'm having so much clarity around what really lights me up in the work that I do and how I want to interact with people. And so I share this all because the last reflection was that, excuse me, my last reflection was that space, giving myself space to allow myself to really marinate in the energy and sit with my thoughts, do so much for me, gives me so much clarity. And when it integrates, I get so much inspiration from it. So at this point, with 4 of the 5 programs being complete, I feel like I have so much more clarity in how I want to structure my offerings and how I want to connect and work with people that are invested and committed to the offerings that I have. And so it's a beautiful thing. I'm curious for you guys, how often do you allow yourself to have the space to fully absorb what you're going through? And if you don't, how are some ways that you can start to incorporate that? So I'm going to get a little personal now. And in late April, May-ish, my partner and I separated. We got into I don't even want to call it a fight because we weren't actually, I reflect on it now and I don't feel like we're actually fighting, but I felt like it was this realization, this bittersweet realization of the ways that we weren't honoring and respecting one another. And in the moment, I was so upset and I was so hurt and I was so angry and I felt so betrayed. And I felt all of these things towards my partner, but also towards myself. And I am an empath. And I feel like grounding is so huge for me. And even though I focus so much on grounding, that even as a triple earth sign, um, I still feel like it's easy for me to feel other people's energies and thoughts. And so, with how upset and how much I was feeling and how much I was processing, I needed space from my partner to decide and to even just like be clear on what I was feeling and how I was feeling. I needed that space to move through my process. And in getting that space, I was able to have so much clarity around what it was that could not continue to live in the relationship and what I needed. Um, it was amazing. It was truly amazing, and that is what I need all of the time too. Um, and so eventually, I realized that eventually my partner and I found our ways back to each other, and in doing that, in our separation, I also realized that I needed to let my expectations, our history, the relationship that existed up until that point, I had to let it all die so that we could come together fresh and give ourselves the opportunity to create something new. So, space, I love space. I need space. And even though I love connecting one on one with people, I need to create enough space for that to live in, which is why I limit my containers to 6 people. Um, so for my connect and work with your spirit guides offering, that is limited to 6 registrants, and the same goes for my psychic play circle. Um, and the same is likely going to go for my upcoming mediumship development program. So that's me. Thank you so much for witnessing and listening to my story. And that is the first time I have shared um, through social media channels about the separation that my partner and I went through. It's still pretty fresh because he's been home for about a month and a half. Um, oh, so yeah, so he's been home for about a month and a half, and it's like we're starting brand new again. I mean, he moved back, and then he was in a separate room, and it took building trust and respect before we could share a room and share a bed. And the same perfection, honestly. I feel like I need to start from ground one, which can look complicated from the outside because we already have kids. And obviously, I've already seen him naked, but it's not about what I've already seen, it's about how we want to move forward. And so, I'm going to be sharing more about what we went through because I think that a lot of people think you get in a fight, you break up, and that's the end of the story. But the truth is, you're going to continue those patterns until something changes. And you get to choose what you change and when that begins. So whether it be with who your partner is now and who your partner is in the future, um, you have to decide what parts are you willing to release so that you can bring to life something new, so that you can bring to life the type of connection and intimacy and trust and respect and honoring that you crave and desire, that you are entitled to. Will it happen now or will it happen later? Will you be ready for it now? Will you be ready for it later? And that's really just what I want to share with that. So thank you. Um, Lisa says, I think me being here is to listen to your story about you and your partner. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Lisa. You know what, you guys? I don't do enough to share that I'm going to be going live or what my schedule is. So I really didn't know if anyone was going to show up. So thank you so much for being here. And Brandy says, thank you for sharing and being vulnerable. Thank you for witnessing me. Okay, so what I'd like to do is jump into some live readings. If you guys would like to share your stories with me, feel free to drop them in the comments about, any issues or experiences you have around partners and having to let a part of you die, but to give birth to something new. I mean, death is one of my favorite symbols when it comes to readings because it means that something new and more aligned is coming to life. You're allowing something to die to give space for something more aligned, more you, deeper in your expression. And I love that. So feel free to share with me. Thank you so much. All right, guys, I'm going to start with some meditation just to ground the group. And then we're going to just jump into some readings. I am available for mediumship and for any intuitive coaching. Okay, real quick. So Brandy says, I sign up for a lot of courses at once. I feel like I can't learn enough, but also need integration time as well. Yep. That is something that I actually talk about in my relationship to Heal Your Relationship to Wealth course, that program, which I think I'll bring it back in 2022. But it's this your relationship in the exchange, and how I relate it to the oh my goodness, it's related to your stress response. And so I identify with this because you're either fight or flight, you're either in fight or flight, rest and digest, or freeze. And fight or flight can look like constantly needing to do something, always transacting, cycling, always exchanging. And it's almost like, why do you feel like you have to constantly be doing something? Rest and digest is, fight, flight, freeze is what I'm talking about. Fight, flight, or freeze. So fight is the constant transacting and cycling. Flight is running away, trying to avoid the responsibility. And freeze is not knowing what to do, like being so stuck in your fear that you take no action. And so because you're like me, Brandy, we tend to cycle it. Like, I'll do all the things. We'll do it now. Let's just do it. Let's do. That's the toxic productivity. And it takes really understanding, why am I going into this relationship, into this transaction, to slow it down and understand, what meaning is this bringing to my life? What am I creating through this action? And so maybe I'll talk about that in the next live video that I do. Okay, so go ahead and take a comfortable position. You can close your eyes and sit up nice and tall. Visualize a rope going through your spinal column, and give that rope a tug, straightening your head, straightening your neck, and straightening your back. We'll begin by 3 deep, clearing breaths, breathing in through your nose, holding it, and exhaling through your mouth. I'll count you off. And you breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold it, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold it, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold it, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and allow your breath to return to its normal rhythm, breathing in air, oxygen, spirit, and exhaling everything you've picked up from the day. Breathing in connection and exhaling all of your tensions and all of your interactions from the day. And as you continue the cycle of breathing in life and exhaling all that no longer serves you, you feel your body anchor into your position, into your seat, and into the floor. As you continue to anchor, you feel your roots energetically growing from your tailbone, from the soles of your feet, into the ground, deep, deep into the ground, through different layers of earth, down to the earth's core. Your roots connect with the earth's core and drink up its energy. This golden light energy flows up through your roots and into your being. In your energetic being, each cell lights up with this golden core energy, lighting up the next and the next and the next. You become illuminated. You are a light being connected to the earth. And take a deep breath here. Think about your intention for today, whether it be to connect with a person or to receive guidance. See it in your mind's eye. Hear it through your inner hearing. Feel it and sense it emotionally, this intention. And then know it. Know this intention. And when you're ready, you can gently bring your awareness to your fingers, to your toes, and gently bat open your eyelashes. And you can drop me an emoji with your intention. It's been a while, and I usually have all of my text already up and ready, and here it is. Okay, and the way this works is I let Spirit guide me to which emojis to read. The emojis are storing your intentions like a beautiful fairy jar. So wait a second, why isn't this going through? Okay, there we go. So as part of service and sharing these messages, I just ask that you guys share how this reading resonates with you, because other people watch these videos and they come from the same place that I was in, where they're skeptical or they're not sure or they're scared. And when you share how this reading helps you, it helps them come closer to their divinity and to their spiritual awakening. It helps them come closer to participating consciously in their spiritual journey. So, all right. Okay, I'm going to start with Janice. Okay, so Janice. Okay, so I know you put the star as your emoji, and usually the emoji has nothing to do with your intention, like it's just an emoji you picked. But when I saw it, I called out in my head the star. And then I saw the star in tarot, which is, um, it's been a while since I've read tarot cards. So I hope I'm getting this right. Well, actually, it doesn't matter because this is what I'm seeing. But I see the feminine, the exposed feminine, the naked and out and proud feminine energy with a foot on the earth, a foot in the water, holding the cup, and just this balancing, but also this involvement, this traversing in all of the elements, all of the planes. So what does this mean for Janice? So this feminine energy, that exposure, the nakedness, what it represents is just being totally open, just being totally open and proud. I mean, as women, oftentimes we are hiding ourselves, covering up, and I get the intention of modesty, but modesty was created to accommodate men not being able to respect the women's body. So being able to show all of yourself with confidence and in an empowered way, um, that's all it is. Confidence and empowerment. But I almost forgot where I was going with this. But when I see this woman, this naked woman, I see her twirling. And when I see the background, it's the moonlight. So it feels like of this full release. I mean, full moons are about releasing and surrendering and letting go of what doesn't serve us. It's a shedding phase. If you think about the women's moon cycle, the full moon has to do with the bleeding phase, which is the shedding. Um, and it just feels like play and joy and movement. Excuse me. Play, joy, and movement. It feels like that had a feels like that struck a chord. um, but I also feel like this play and movement during this full moon phase is also about how oftentimes as women during our bleeding phase, like um, we hide and we don't interact, and we view our moon cycle as a burden, as a detour, as something that's in the way. Um, but this feels like a full embrace of feminine body, of feminine energy. It feels like a full embrace of even the bleeding, and just knowing like all these attitudes are ridiculous because this is natural. This is a very natural process, and it's something to be proud of. Because when we bleed, uh, that signifies like in other cultures. I know this is um, true for indigenous culture, and even for indigenous in the Philippines. I'm Filipino, and that there are cultures where the woman gets a break. This isn't about hiding. This isn't about shaming women. This isn't about that, or even like yeah, shaming. It's all shaming. Because I know there are a lot of times that women have really bad cramps, and then people are just like, oh, you're faking it. Well, there are cultures which hold women so high that they give them the space and the rest that they deserve while they're in this moon phase. The full moon is also known as a period of time when your magic is at its peak. So your feminine energy is at its peak. You just have so much magic flowing through you, and that's why you're shedding, because you're letting some through. So it feels like that is very related as well. Ooh, I get wild woman vibes. The book Women Who Run with Wolves is coming up, and I haven't read the book, but I know it's all about embracing your wild woman energy. And the reason why I say this is because this woman that's twirling in the moonlight, I see her and she's like flailing her arms and she's moving and twisting, contorting her body in all these different ways, and it doesn't look um, it looks like dancing, but it also looks like very ecstatic, free form, intuitive dancing and intuitive movement, which is very healing because your body is just a vortex of energy. And when there's stagnant energy, you have to move and stretch your body to allow that energy to get flow again. And so right when I said that, I was asking in my head, is she needing to give herself more of this flexibility? And the answer was a nodding yes. Okay, so I also get this feeling that this avatar that I'm seeing, this archetype that I'm seeing of the wild woman naked with the moonlight shining on her at night is um, allowing all of the energy to just come through. And when we feel heat, that is energy. Like we know that from science, but it is energy. From a energetic psychic perspective, when you are hot, that's a lot of life energy flowing through you. So I see this naked woman, and she has so much energy coursing through her that she doesn't need clothes. She doesn't need to worry about the elements or cold weather because she is the energy. And when I asked if you need flexibility, Janice, what I what I'm getting is that you I feel very stiff. And actually, I see this from this avatar. It feels very stiff. It feels like there is not very much energy moving through. And actually, it's funny because I see then this the the archetype of the star from tarot, and she's wearing a knitted beanie and mittens, but she's naked, and then she's holding herself like, oh, I'm so cold. So I'm thinking that is you prior to giving yourself movement. Is this an invitation to strip down and allow yourself to absorb full moon energy? Hell yeah. If you have a place that you could do that and feel safe and secure, of course, go for it. But really, it's also an invitation to release and allow bits and pieces of yourself to come through. I say bits and pieces, but this feels like a rip the band-aid off and just be yourself. I say bits and pieces because if we do too much too soon, and only you can know what's too much too soon, but when you do too much too soon, you shock your nervous system. And so if you do bits and pieces, then you are slowly integrating, allowing your nervous system to adjust to it. And so it's easing yourself into the energy is what it is. But again, I feel like this is like rip the band-aid off, like go for it kind of energy. Um, and then now I actually see like it looks like a wolf. So it looks like there's a wolf um, howling at the moon with you. So it feels like very wild. Um, so it's like a alpha. It's like an alpha dog because I see it by itself, And then I'm trying to concentrate to see if it's a lone. So is this lone wolf energy or is this pack energy? But it's leadership energy. So this is all about you coming into your feminine energy to be a leader. Um, it feels like this has to do with the work that you do, and I see that because they show me you, or an avatar of you, and you're like dressed up in a business suit, and it feels like work. So it feels like you doing a presentation in front of like colleagues or whatever. But that's just the representation that I'm seeing for like this is some sort of this is leadership connected to your work life. Um, a lot of times people think that they have to have a different persona for every part of their life, but you that's actually very tiring because you're basically leading multiple lives. And so you can be the same person, and maybe what you do is you dial back, and it's like testing the waters again, like doing bits and pieces, taking baby steps. And it's like you're dialing back so that you can test out, like show yourself that it's safe to be yourself. And then as you show yourself that it's safe to be yourself, you can start to explore more and more of expressing your truth and your authenticity. And then that way, then you start to merge all your identities into your one authentic self. Then you can be happy in all of your existences and all the different parts of your life. Um, Interesting. So I feel like that is complete, but I see this archetype is going like this, like pounding her chest. And that was the signal that she gave me that this is complete. So again, thank you so much for letting me read for you, Janice. Please share how this resonates with you, so that it can help someone else open themselves up to reading. Hi, Mary. Thanks so much for joining. Okay, I'm just going to clear Janice's energy. So if you guys are interested in getting a reading, holy smokes. Hello. Hello, can you see me over this? um, yeah, if you're interested in reading and you just joined, here are the instructions. And I think what I'm going to do is I will read for Juna next. So, Juna K, I like your avatar. Okay. Okay, before I jump into Juna, since Janice already shared some feedback, I want to talk about this a little bit. So she wrote, wow, I really connected with your guidance. Lately, I've been struggling with completely expressing myself authentically due to a series of disappointments. This is what I tell people that I work with one-on-one or just in any container. This is what I tell people. That disappointment is an opportunity. And if you ever work with me, um, in one of my offerings, you'll learn that I have like an art for reframing, and I see patterns. And all the disappointments are actually opportunities, and it takes a certain kind of energy and courage and bravery to be able to take a step outside of the pain, to forgive yourself and to forgive the other people that were involved. And it's at that point of forgiveness that you can start to see what was the beauty and wisdom and the lesson and the gift of that experience. And when you start to shift from seeing it as a disappointment and seeing it as a gift, that's when you evolve. And that's when you up level. I know in the spiritual community, people talk about up leveling all the time. And to me, it sounded kind of silly because it reminds me of a video game. And I was not much of a video game player growing up because my brother and sister never shared. So I will stick with evolved because I know for me, I recently had this conversation with some in-laws about taking things personally. And I get what it feels like to feel like someone is personally attacking you. And the truth is, they're they are actually not personally attacking you. They are projecting onto you their own issues. But it takes a level of clarity and awareness to be able to see that it's not about you, that their problem is their problem and they've just brought you into it. So you can breathe that in and just let that integrate with your energy and let it sit with you. And it's probably it will continue to unravel and continue to evolve and blossom for you. And just let that sit with you. Okay, so thank you so much, Janice, for sharing. Okay, I'm jumping to Juna, and then this is going to be it because I already can see that I'm going to be going over time. Okay, so Juna, let's see. So I actually see fireworks, and at first I thought it was like your avatar, but really I'm seeing like fireworks going off. So let me see what these fireworks are about. It's interesting because I see the fireworks and I actually see Mickey Mouse, and it's old school Mickey where his eyes are just the black circle. There's no black and white like the new Mickey. I asked why Mickey Mouse, and they said she loves Mickey. Tell me if you really love Mickey. That's so bizarre to me. Not that you would love Mickey, but it feels like a very interesting thing to come through. And I almost feel like questioning, like, does she really love Mickey? That's my self-doubt coming through because I'm human too. Okay. Okay, I feel like it's vintage Mickey now because I feel like there is a reverence for the classics. I'm seeing it looks like a crystal palace, like these crystal towers kind of stacked next to each other. And at first, it kind of reminds me of Wizard of Oz when you see like the Emerald City, but then now it looks like all white. They look like white selenite towers, like if you made a palace out of white selenite towers. Let's see here. Um, I feel like there is a Jim Henson movie that has to do with what is it? There is a Jim Henson movie with puppets, and I feel like that is related to it. But again, it comes back to this theme of classics. Gina, are you still around? No, you're not even here anymore, are you? Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a second to drop something because I feel like you're not here. And that might be why I'm getting these weird random things. Yeah. And so with that, I am going to say that this is it. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I do have that Connect and Work with Your Spirit Guides program starting on Thursday. It's limited to 6 people, and we meet over 3 weeks. And I take you through the basic fundamentals of psychic development, then how to connect and work with your guides. And we'll go through connecting with them through meditation, through pendulum work, and through all sorts of divination. And then the last week, we go through integration and how to use it in your life. Thank you again for being here, for witnessing me, for giving me a space to be vulnerable and open to share what I am going through. Um, Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you guys. Come join me next month, um, every third Thursday here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and then every first Thursday on Instagram Live. Have a great evening.